Questers, welcome back to the channel. And we have an interesting thing to talk about right now. I've just found out from an article on That Park Place that, George Lucas could be returning to Star Wars. So we're going to take a look at this article. But before we do, please do hit that like, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and please do comment down below any thoughts that you might have about this, because this could be outstanding. So let's take a look at this article and see what it says, guys. I haven't read it yet, so let's get into it. So yeah, article, the headline: George Lucas reportedly returning to Star Wars for new live-action series. I wonder if he's going to be coming in for Ahsoka season 2, because I know that's been confirmed, hasn't it? So that'd be cool, because there's a lot to improve with Ahsoka. But yeah, this could be interesting. Let me just adjust this a little. There we go. Get me in the middle of there. All right, so let's read this article. So this is April 25th. So it's today, on the day of recording this video, by John F. Trent. Okay, this is cool. This could be cool. I'm just going to quickly do this because I want that as a thumbnail. It's going to be outstanding. Former Star Wars assistant director and second unit director Roger Christian claims that George Lucas is returning to Star Wars and will be involved in a new live-action series. Now, if we get a brand new Star Wars series headed by George Lucas, or with any kind of involvement of George Lucas, it's a huge thing. So if we do get this, it'll be outstanding. It really will. So yeah, Christian, who won an Academy Award for the original Star Wars film, the best production design, revealed in a recent interview with YouTuber Star Wars Theory, I haven't watched that yet, I'm going to have to watch that George Lucas is returning to Lucasfilm to work on a new live-action series. And I could just imagine Star Wars Theory's reaction, because I think, from what I understand, when it was like mentioned in a sentence, and Star Wars Theory just focused on that, and I think he leaned forward. I could imagine him leaning forward, going, "What?" Right? So yeah. Oh, this is going to be huge if it happens. Christian stated, "I think he's coming back. I'm pretty sure. Now that he's doing a series, I think that they're now bringing him into the fold, from what I hear, because there's a Star Wars live-action series coming, and I've got a strong suspicion that George will have something to do with that. That's what I'm thinking, and I might be prophesying." Yeah, that what I had heard and read. He continued, "And I don't know from anything apart from it. I'm prophesizing that might happen, because you've seen he's been very physically present there. He's been down on the sets and everything. I wonder if that has something to do with getting his vote, because I know he ended up getting behind Bob Iger in the recent with the recent votes and stuff like that. So he was backing with Bob Iger. I wonder if Bob Iger asked him, told him, or asked him for a positive vote to be on his side, and get involved, and he would allow him to get involved with something. So that's going to be interesting to find out. Christian's comments come in the wake of George Lucas supporting the Walt Disney Company amid its proxy battle against Nelson Peltz. Exactly, that's what I was thinking. In the middle of March, a statement from Lucasfilm. Lucas read, "Creating magic. Hold on. Creating magic is not for amateurs. When I sold Lucasfilm just over a decade ago, I was delighted to become a Disney shareholder because of my long-time admiration for its iconic brand and Bob Iger's leadership." Well, I'm not sure about the Bob Iger's leadership part, because lately he's just been screwing the pooch. He continued, When Bob recently returned to the company during a difficult time, I was relieved. No one knows Disney better. I remain a significant shareholder because I have full faith and confidence in the power of Disney and Bob's track record of driving long term value. I have voted all of my shares for Disney's 12 directors and urge other shareholders to do the same. Yeah, well, we'll see about that. But yeah, but if well, that's a better image of I've got to figure out which one I'm going to use. I might use that one. I don't know. Um, the statement was bizarre, given Lucas' public statements were critical of the Walt Disney Company and its handling of Star Wars. Yeah, well, he was critical. It's his baby, right? He created it. So I mean, all he's seen is them fuck up. After he sold the company for over $4 billion back in 2012. For example, in an interview with Charlie Ross ahead of the release of The Force Awakens in 2015, Lucas described the Walt Disney Company and its leadership, including Bob Iger, as white slavers. He said, these are my kids, all the Star Wars films. I loved them. I created them in very intimately. I'm very intimately involved in them. I sold them to the white slavers. That takes these things and I didn't finish it. Okay, fine. CEO Bob Iger also noted in his memoir, The Ride of a Lifetime, lessons learned from 15 years as CEO of the Walt Disney Company, that Lucas felt betrayed by how he and Disney went about creating their sequel trilogy. Iger wrote, at some point in the process, George told me that he had completely outlined for 3 new movies. He agreed to send us 3 copies of the outlines, one for me, one for Alan Braverman, and one for Alan Horn, who'd just been hired to run our studio. Alan Horn and I read George's outline and decided we needed to buy them, though we made clear in the purchase agreement that we would not be contractually obligated to adhere to the plot lines he'd laid out. They should have. They should have followed his outline, because this is the guy who created the franchise. So, I mean, they should have followed the outline. Iger added, he knew that I was going to stand firm on the question of creative control, but it wasn't an easy thing for him to accept. And so he reluctantly agreed to be available to consult with us at our request. Well, yeah, but anything he said, they just ignored anyway. So then, and we got the sequel trilogy. So they ignored everything he said anyway. So it doesn't matter. I promised that we would be open to his ideas. This was not a hard promise to make. Of course, we would be open to George Lucas's ideas. But like the outlines, we would be under no obligation. You should have been under obligation. You should have been obligated to do it. Next, Iger shared, early on, Kathy brought JJ and Michael I don't know how to pronounce that. It's weird. Up to Northern California to meet with George at his ranch and talk about their ideas for the film. George immediately got upset as they began to describe the plot, and it dawned on him that we weren't using one of the stories he submitted during the negotiations. Yeah, I mean, I could imagine that being heartbreaking, right? He went on to admit they had no intention of ever using Lucas outlines. The truth was, Kathy, JJ, Alan, and I had discussed the direction in which the saga should go, and we all agreed that it wasn't what George had outlined. George knew we weren't contractually bound to anything, but he thought that our buying the story treatments was a tacit promise that we'd follow them, and he was disappointed that his story was being discarded. Yeah, well, wouldn't you be? Wouldn't you be? I'd been so careful since our first conversation not to mislead him in any way, and I didn't think I had now, but I could have handled it better. Yes, you could have. Iger wrote. I should have prepared him for the meeting with JJ and Michael, and told him about our conversations, that we felt it was better to go in another direction. I could have talked through this with him and possibly avoided angering him by not surprising him. Yeah, it makes sense. He then shared that Lucas felt betrayed. Wouldn't you? Now, in the first meeting with him about the future of Star Wars, George felt betrayed. And while this whole process would never have been easy for him, we'd gotten off to an unnecessarily rocky start. Unnecessarily rocky, yeah, sure. Iger also detailed that Lucas did not like what Disney did with The Force Awakens. He shared, just prior to the global release, Kathy Kennedy as if we don't know who that is, screened The Force Awakens for George. He didn't hide his disappointment. There's nothing new, he said. Well, there wasn't nothing new. It was basically taking something that had already been done and just making some changes. The Disney CEO continued, in each of the films in the original trilogy, it was important to him to present new worlds, new stories, new characters, and new technologies. In this one, he said there weren't enough visual or technical leaps forward. No, there weren't. It's supposed to be after A New Hope, but it's basically the same. A few different looking, basically the same ships and everything. Everything was almost identical. In 2020, Lucas made an appearance at the East Harlem School at Exodus House as part of the Virtual Speak series. Lucas was asked by 7th grader Jeremiah, the world has changed so much since the first Star Wars movie. How do you think the changes in the fight for racial justice will impact the Star Wars universe going forward? The filmmaker responded, I don't know. I mean, I kind of lost control of Star Wars, so it's going off in a different path, sort of on a different path than what I intended. Well, yeah, because Disney. He then added, but the first 6 Star Wars films are very much mine and my philosophy, and I think that philosophy sort of goes beyond any particular time. Because it's based on history, it's based on philosophy, it's based on a lot of things. Yes, it's based on things that have happened in the past. It's historically referenced, right? So he's just adapted history to make Star Wars, and it worked incredibly well. And then Disney took it, and no, people don't. Most Star Wars fans just don't like it. So it's quite possible that Lucas might have cut a deal with the Walt Disney Company to return to Star Wars. Yes, it's probably because he wants it to be good again, right? He wants Star Wars to be great, and right the ship in return for his support of Bob Iger and the Walt Disney Company board of directors, as opposed to Nelson Peltz. Yes, I mean that would make sense, right? What do you make of these comments from Christian regarding George Lucas returning? I think it's incredibly possible. But obviously without anything official, there's no official announcement or anything, so it's hard to go into too much thinking of it. So I'm going to use that image as a for my thumbnail, I think, if I can. So yeah, I think this will be outstanding if it's true, but we don't know if it's going to be true. It's just basically hearsay at the moment, so we'll see what happens, and hopefully, it will work out for the best, because I think bringing Lucas back will be a huge boost for the franchise. The problem is, it's the creative control. How much creative control will he have over this new series? Because if they made him a showrunner or something, then maybe that would be good. But it's hard to say. So we'll see what happens. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about this, because George Lucas coming back will be an outstanding thing. You know, I mean, Star Wars fans will go crazy for it. And hopefully, if he does come back, can he correct the mistakes that Disney have made? Yes, he could. Would he be able to make it so that the sequel trilogy never existed? No, no. They will always be there. But at the same time, I hope he can bring it back. Because they should at least give him some creative control, if nothing else, right? And that would be outstanding to see. So give me your ideas, guys. Comment down below your thoughts, and yeah, we'll see how this goes. And don't forget, guys, don't forget hit the like, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And you can always support the channel by clicking the Streamlabs tipping page link in the description below, and also the merch store, which is also linked below. So yeah, until next time, take care, stay safe, and may the Schwartz be with you always.